That thing is coming out of my head.
All right. All right, I think we are live. All right, I'm just going to confirm it just to make sure, but I believe we are live. Yes, great. All right, so this is episode 2 of our program, Public Trust Review. And my name's Kirk Vartan. I am a local activist, business owner of a local pizza shop here. And with me today,
I'm Tom Shanks. I am an ethicist. I ran the Markula Center at Santa Clara University for a while, and I worked with the city for 15 years on its ethics programs.
all right, excellent. So we're going to get started. We're going to get started with and jump right into the topics. We're going to try and keep our episodes here tight to about 10 to 15 minutes on the high end. We're going to try and keep it closer to 10. But we're going to start. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. Basically, what is public trust? What builds public trust? Public trust failures and example specific, and then we'll just summarize that. So let's just dive right into it on what is public trust. So I'm going to share a slide here, Tom, and I want you to comment on it. So this is directly out of the City of Santa Clara's Ethics and Values Program. I pulled it right from the November 2010. I believe you authored this with the city.
Right.
So if you could tell me a little bit about what this slide represents.
So this is the definition of public trust. We're doing a public trust review, and the city's Ethics and Values Program is about public trust. So what is that? Well, public trust is the people's confident reliance that their government, all parts of their government, staff and council, will at all times, whether they're in public or in private, work for the best interests of all of the people of Santa Clara. So you build it over time, and it's that those people, all of the government, they work for us. And we trust that they're doing that in public and in private.
So just to, again, broadly, capture this, it's whether you're running for office or in office or a staff member, your job is to be ethical at all times, period.
Yeah. Your job is to build public trust, and being ethical is a key way to build it. And
go ahead.
I was going to say the next slide it gets into how do you build it. But maybe
and just so, and if anyone wants to see where we got this, it's the link's right here on the bottom of the page. So yes. let's get into the next piece, which is what makes what makes up that public trust. So here we are. This is a slide again that you created. So what builds public trust, and help walk us through what we're looking at.
Right. So in 2008, 6, 7, and 8, we did 3 scientific surveys in the city of Santa Clara. And we wanted to find out what built public trust. What did the people say? And what you see here is the whole thing rests on the law, and we're going to come back to that in a second. But public trust is built by, if you look around from left to right, the people have to perceive that the council and everybody else has deep regard for what they think and for what they say. They have to feel that there's excellent quality of life in the city, that the city has wonderful city services. And they also need to know, if you look at the red one first, before the green one here on the right, that their government and their city staff have impeccable ethics. And we'll talk about that as we go along. But then the other piece of it is public trust is most at risk during political campaigns. And the public really feels that a campaign has to be honorable if it's going to build public trust. And that should be everybody's job description who's in the city.
And so just a quick review here. This is a prerequisite. When you're elected, you sign a code of ethics, code of conduct, which incorporates all these elements, which kind of exemplifies all of these elements that you're referring to here. But this specific graphic was generated based on feedback from Santa Clarans, correct?
Yes. Scientific surveys that are generalizable to the whole city. right? People were consistent about it. But I think we also have to explain what this thing about the law is on the bottom.
And that's on the bottom. That's kind of the foundational element. And go ahead and go into a little bit
Right.
deeper.
So when you look at this, the law is the floor, right? It's not the ceiling. The floor means that the law is the minimal set of standards that we've all agreed we're going to follow. Minimal set of standards. But that doesn't build public trust. Just following the law doesn't build it. If you break the law, you damage or destroy public trust. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to trust you more if you come out and say, well, we didn't break the law today, right? So you have to do more than follow the law. The law is the floor, not the ceiling. The ceiling is ethics and integrity and these values.
And so again, just to kind of underscore, because I think that's really, really important. I like one of the terms you said, if when I talked to you earlier, you said if a city official said, today, we're here to announce we followed the law today.
Right.
Like if that was the statement made by your elected official or a staff member, you'd be pretty underwhelmed. It's like, well, God, I hope you did. If you didn't,
Right.
you shouldn't be there.
Right.
So following the law, like you said, it's the floor, it's the bare minimum, and it is not something that is something to be strived for. It's something that to be expected in your day-to-day behavior.
Right.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to know about this graphic? I mean, it assumes that the law is the foundation of basically good government, of staff, of elected officials, and of candidates running, because they also signed that, like we talked about last week, about the
fair campaign practices.
The fair campaign practices. Thank you. And that everybody has signed that is running. And the reality is the current council members are already running for those seats. So that's even more important. Okay.
So I think the takeaway from this slide is public trust is the result of competence and ethics. And you have to feel that the people in the city who are running it are providing competence in the services, and they're also acting ethically.
Okay, so the next piece I'm going to direct your attention to is from a September 16th?
September 13th.
I'm sorry, September 13th. It was off of an item on the public. It wasn't a closed session item. This was in public session. Right. And this gets to the point of the law being the floor, not the ceiling, and how to behave around that. So I'm gonna play this. This is a clip regarding whether or not Councilmember Chahal and Councilmember Hardy should recuse themselves or should have recused themselves when deciding about a 49er settlement deal and the FPPC investigation that's going on regarding the tickets that they got to a 49er game and a special pass to go backstage and all that stuff. So I'm going to play this clip. Not if you hear the audio. If you don't hear the audio, we will fix it. So we're going to play this about a 30-second clip, and then we'll come back and review.
At this stage, I'll read out what the FPPC has sent us. I quote FPPC. Please note that although a case has been opened, we have not determined the validity of the allegations made against you or culpability of any identified in this complaint. But here we are being tried by a judge, by a jury, and by a prosecutor, all being the same person. As if this is a third world country, dictatorial country, like as if we don't have a right of any sort in this atmosphere.
So the sync is a little off. That's just the Facebook playback, but that's actual voice. Nothing was edited or anything like that. So could you just give your impression of what that tells you?
Yes. So what happens a lot of times, I think, is we get hung up in the law, right? And we miss the point, which is, okay, it doesn't matter what the FPPC comes back and says. What matters is what people's perception is of your ethics. Now, you might not like it, that it's all based on perception and it's based on what people see and what they hear, right? And so if we never act outside of the law or beyond the law, above the law, that's not right. We have to follow the law, but we also have to go beyond it to ethics, because the law doesn't mean, if we followed all the laws, we would not necessarily be ethical people. And so I think what's happening there is they're getting bogged down in the legalese of what's going on and missing the public trust questions that are coming up because of the appearance of impropriety and the appearance of conflict of interest.
Right.
And
So in this case, there's an ordinance, potentially a lobbyist ordinance violation. There is potential impropriety, and in the perception of doing something unethical. It's a perception. And the statement, what I heard from this, based on, again, what you've been saying, kind of expectations, what I heard was, unless the FPPC comes back and finishes their investigation, there is no reason to talk about this. And that is, to me, a distraction. What I'm hearing is a distraction to the core issue is you should be able to talk about these things, whether or not the FPPC finds something or not. The very fact that something occurred and you've acknowledged that this has occurred should justify a discussion and shed light on that, so that you can vacate any issues that you might have, air the issues out, and explore that publicly.
And the whole thing about a conflict of interest is it means that you're potentially not independent in your judgment, right? And that that gift may have influenced your judgment in these actions, and so we need to talk about that, because as Mr. Chahal was saying, everybody can potentially have a conflict of interest because everybody lives in the city. So we have to talk about these things to find out what's the line that we don't want to cross.
And I think just to summarize, and then I'll just give my sense and 2 cents. You give your 2 cents here, or your maybe $1.50 that you weigh in on. But what I heard is the public trust element needs to be part of every decision-making process, whether you're in a campaign, as a council member, or as a staff person. It has to be part of the fabric of what you do, and to take seriously on that. And so what other things do we want to, again, in 30 seconds or so, how would you like to summarize the takeaway?
So one of the things that we talk about a lot is what you do speaks so loudly, you can't hear what you say, right? So actions are speaking a whole lot more than words. So the public has to look at the council meetings and look at the materials you're getting and ask if those things are building your trust in your government, right? Do you believe that the government is operating at all times in your best interest, in public and in private?
All right, well, that's it for today. It goes pretty quick because we're trying to talk about just one thing per show or per episode. And we're trying to make it so that it's engaging and hopefully creates a storyline that makes sense and that you can follow, and that is factual. And we try to document everything here. Again, if you have any feedback for us, we encourage that. You can always send to opinion at ethicsforamerica.com. That goes directly to Dr. Shanks. The website, ethicsforamerica.com. Right now, we're having a little hosting problem, so don't go to it right this second. But episode 1 and episode 2 will be on there. And we might have a couple episodes a week in the next week or two, because there are a couple small things. Again, we're going to try and have one, at the most 2 things per show, and keep this to less than 15 minutes. So that's it for today, and we'll see you next time.
Have an ethical week. Take care.